Last week on Gleeboot, Rory had peanut butter for the first time. They sang the mashup of Fly / I Believe You Can Fly. There was a vampire who was judging, and Quinn got hit by a car while texting and driving. And that's what you missed on Gleeboot.
Gleeboot.
Yeah.
That was a good summary that didn't have to talk about all the stuff that we talked about.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert for the listeners. Last night.
Yes. Our last record. So we're recording this one day, 7 hours after the last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just what it is being a Glee podcaster. The hustle.
And we're all in different time zones here. So it is 9 a.m. Oh, like 9:10 for Cullen and I. This is the first time we've ever done a morning recording, and we're gonna see how it goes.
So wait, so I'm in East. Are you in Central time?
Yes.
Oh my gosh! So 3 different time zones. Wow.
Yeah. So welcome to Gleeboot, the show where we get drunk and talk about rebooting Glee one episode at a time. I'm Cullen.
Alyssa.
And I'm Hannah.
And I'm David.
Yes, a special guest, David, my brother.
Little brother. Not to be confused with the episode title, which is Big Brother.
Yeah.
Correct.
But they do say the phrase little brother, so it counts.
Yeah.
True. David is 3 years younger than I am.
3.5.
3.5. Okay. But he's much taller than me. So
in a way, he's a big brother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big as in size.
Yes.
I found this episode was infinitely more hilarious if I just imagine David and Alyssa doing whatever Blaine and his brother were doing. It
kind of feels like comparing apples and oranges. Yeah. I don't see any of these things happening with your guys' brother-sister relationship.
Especially
so I was like,
since we do totally different things.
Yeah, we're really different people.
So that's why I was like, I only picked it because I'm like, oh yeah, siblings. But then I'm like, this is so different. But it counts. I'm gonna give a little spoiler. I actually got toward the end of the episode and I was like, I think I genuinely liked this episode. And then I looked at the timestamp and I was like, oh, but there's still 9 minutes left.
Did you still like it by the end?
You'll have to find out.
Okay. This episode was much more well-rounded and wholesome and very much, it just felt better. Yeah, it was even written better. It felt like it was a more cohesive story and everything.
I mean, I pretty much understood what was happening, and that's
good.
A little background on what I have experienced in Glee is I have only ever watched half of the first episode, and as soon as it started, I remembered why I had only ever watched half of the first episode. But going through the episode, it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Yeah, I literally looked at my roommate and was like, I think I enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, actually, I was like, oh, this is a good one to give to David because it's actually one of the better episodes. It's
fun, really easy to follow, and no one's horrible in it, really. I have someone I think is pretty horrible, but yeah, it was pretty okay.
Yeah. Okay, so David, did you take the BuzzFeed quizzes?
I did, yes. Let me pull it up here.
I'm so excited.
So, any guesses before I say it?
I'm going to guess Finn.
I was going to say Finn, because that seems to be a pretty consistent thing with our guests.
All right, so I got as my character Santana.
Oh, we're the same!
Yes!
And I got as my Glee boyfriend. Any guesses?
Sam.
Artie.
Are you gonna guess, Cullen? Would you said Blaine?
Yeah.
Mike Chang.
Oh my god!
You are the first first person to get totally different answers than anyone else. That's awesome.
Yes.
Wow.
That's amazing.
I
you
love
got a
that.
good Glee boyfriend too.
Yeah, really wholesome. Always
Good
great. Good dancer.
Yes, great dancer.
Awesome.
Definitely not really in this episode, but
Yeah, he has
I think
two
I saw him
lines.
once. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I saw him like once in the whole episode.
And he said footloose like 4 times.
yes.
So, let's. Oh, what are we drinking today?
Seeing it as it is 9 a.m. 9:16. Cullen and I are drinking mimosas.
Very nice.
They're actually really good.
Yeah.
I forgot how much I liked mimosas because I only ever order them at restaurants, but they're so expensive that I don't really order them.
When you make them at home, they're pretty cost effective.
Yeah. Getting
Although I
the
have to
fork out
say,
was
I
interesting.
prefer screwdrivers over mimosas just because champagne's not my favorite. So
Yeah.
What is that? Vodka and orange juice?
Vodka.
yes,
Yeah.
vodka and orange juice.
I
But
prefer
I'm
the
just drinking water.
sunrises. Oh, that's
right now,
nice.
yeah, because I drank last night and I'm drinking tonight and I'm drinking tomorrow for the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You're like, I need a break because it's not even noon.
Exactly.
That's valid. No, I prefer the sunrises because I like tequila. But I'm actually drinking more of that dearly beloved red. It's weird drinking red wine before like 4 p.m. So it's kind of messing with my brain. But I'm in my closet, so I can't really tell what time it is. It's like a casino.
Well done.
So this episode was a lot more. I could actually break down the storylines, unlike last night where we just had to do chronological.
Yeah.
We have Quinn, her storyline. We have the Puck and Finn storyline. We have the Sue storyline, and we have the Blaine and his brother. So
we have Quinn and Artie, Sue, and then who else was last one?
Blaine and his brother.
Right. And then we also have Fuck.
Finn. We have Finn and Puck.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Who is Puck?
He's a Mohawk guy.
Yeah, he's the
Mohawk guy. Yes. Which I'm pretty sure his mohawk is crooked. I don't know if any of you noticed that. It's like,
oh my God.
I think it's a little crooked. It's got like a curve on one side.
I wonder if it's like not real and the makeup department just put it on wrong.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very subtle. You have to watch when he's not moving.
They're like, it's on crooked. Just move your head a lot. No one will know.
Exactly.
So let's talk about Quinn first. Quinn and Artie, Quarty, if you will. So actually, this storyline opens with Rachel and Finn, and so we find out they didn't get married. And they're like, do you think we would have got married? The only reason we didn't get married is because Quinn got in her accident. They're like, yeah. That's the only reason why. And then she's like, I just feel so bad. Quinn was texting me on her way to the wedding, and then he's like, Quinn is right behind you. And then we see Quinn in a wheelchair approaching them. And Rachel's like, oh, we miss you. And Quinn's like, don't lay on thick. Like I was just 1 inch away from being one of those creepy memorial pages in the yearbook, but here I am.
Yeah.
Which I guess is like, that's a good outlook. Like,
yeah.
Well done, Quinn.
Yeah. I also think like it was really interesting, like the Finn and Rachel stuff was that like Finn was the one talking about the wedding and Rachel was the one who was like actually being like selfless about the conversation for once, which was interesting. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't last.
Looking back from this morning when I watched it, I just realized that for her being in a car accident where she can't move half of her body, she has no physical markings on her body.
Good point.
That's exactly what I was
no
going to say.
No black eyes, no stripes, anything.
Yeah, and we don't really know what
the
timeline is after her having been in the accident.
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't imagine it's more than a week.
Like, even a week, you still have scrapes on your face.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, okay, honestly, she would probably still be in the hospital if it was that short of a time.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least still at home. And like, she would have to relearn everything. How to put her clothes on, how to like eat and make breakfast, and you know, like all of these things in a wheelchair. There's no way that she would be back at school that quickly.
I mean, unless Judy Fabre has taken a break from curing her own meats, you know, she might be doing a lot of stuff for her daughter.
Well, still, I mean, like.
But Quinn seems very independent.
She does.
This whole experience. So yeah.
I wish we had a timeline, because if we had a timeline, it would be so much easier.
Yeah, because this could be 3 months in the future. We don't know.
Exactly. And I'm more willing to believe that she would be in school and looking that okay in 3 months.
I wonder if this was before a hiatus.
Oh, you mean like in the season?
Yeah, like I wonder, because sometimes there's like mid-season breaks.
Yeah, like a winter to spring break, or like a fall to spring.
Yeah, like this would be winter to spring, because we had Valentine's Day.
It was episode 15, which is usually about halfway through a season, so it might have been.
Yeah, because then they would have left everyone on Quinn getting in the car accident.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
When were these aired, Miss Fact Checker? Go.
Okay. I've been ordered.
Okay, so while we wait on the air dates, I also have to say that all of these people are way too old to be in high school.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, way too old to be in high school.
Yeah, like none of them are high school age. And okay, in my opinion, I think Finn is the one that kind of acts the most like a high schooler. But he's second oldest.
Yeah.
And he didn't even really have any super funny lines or high school type lines in this episode, so.
So On My Way, which was last week's episode, aired February 21st. And then looks like Big Brother, this episode aired April 10th. So yeah, it looks like it was a hiatus.
Okay. So that's about 2 months.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense then. I could get behind that. She's been learning how to do things. It's been 2 months.
So yeah, all those poor teens back in 2012, they're like, did Quinn die?
My question is, wouldn't they know that she was going to be training to be in a wheelchair? Like, if they're her friends, they would have gone and visited her. Because that's what they love to do. They love to go visit people in hospitals and when they're bedridden and sing songs and try to heal them through song.
Well, I don't think they didn't know that she was in a wheelchair.
I think it was more of a reveal for the audience than for Finn and Rachel.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were just caught talking about her and then like
she
did
rolled
the
up.
thing. Yeah,
she rolled up on them. And then it goes into a really ironic song, which I'd love to talk about.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So Quinn and Artie start singing Elton John's I'm Still Standing.
Which I liked the harmonies. I thought it was cute, but I'm like, that's my reaction.
It's a really good cover, but the context of, well, they're not standing because they're in a wheelchair.
And, yeah.
Do they actually sing those? Because all of it was, obviously they don't sing it while they're doing everything else because it was not actually them singing at the moment. It's like super obvious based on the audio, and every single song I was like, this is so bad.
Oh yeah, I have a great note about one of those later on where it's just so
but
obvious.
It is their voices.
Yeah, it is the
recorded
actors
in a studio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't go for the Tom Hooper Les Miserables singing on set.
Can we talk about how she popped that wheelie though after only being in a wheelchair for like a month and a half?
And she's scared to go up ramps.
Yep.
That's a great point.
So
Yeah.
Yes. Good point. I would have fallen straight on my back.
Yeah. You need a lot of like ab support for that.
Yeah.
Balance.
Well, I mean, technically she's a cheerleader.
True.
But she hasn't been practicing for months. So
yeah.
I don't know if that's viable.
Oh God, yeah, that means then she's not in Cheerios anymore. I just realized that. Because they didn't mention that really at all this episode.
No. She just got back into Cheerios and then it was snatched away from her.
Well, you know what? She ends her music number on a great PSA. Don't text and drive.
That comes up several times in this episode.
Don't text and walk. Don't text and do anything except pooping and being in class and then in the movies, according to
I disagree with the movie one because
I disagree with also being in class. Like, come on.
Yeah, true. So
Even though I
don't
definitely
text.
just never text.
Unless you're
text.
pooping.
Unless you're pooping. That's the only time. So now when you guys get texts from me.
Don't ever respond.
Yeah. Leave me be, honestly.
So, then she says after the number, she's like, just to dispel rumors, my plumbing still works.
Who cares about that?
Puck.
Is Jacob Ben Israel like being like, now she can't have babies and nothing else works down there? Like, I don't understand who's talking about that and why.
It doesn't make any sense.
But I mean, Artie did the same thing. He's like, my penis still works. Like, so I don't know.
Yeah. And then she's like, with some physical therapy, I should be out of this chair eventually, and I want to be dancing with you on that stage at Nationals.
She's very optimistic.
Mm-hmm. Artie's face is very interesting. He's kind of, I read it as jealous, but it seems like he's more doubtful as it could be a mixture, but it seems like he's more like, oh, she might be kidding herself kind of thing.
He's being very realistic, but also he's not being he's not being supportive at all. Yeah. He's just like, live with it. Like you're basically gonna be in a wheelchair the rest of your life. Figure it out. Like, I'm not gonna help you because I don't want to be the only one in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So.
And that's why he's one of the worst.
Oh, Artie.
Yeah.
My Glee boyfriend.
He's very like selfish in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's awful to women in general.
Yeah.
And so then the next part in the Quinn storyline is when they're all together talking about what they're going to do for Senior Ditch Day. Mike Chang says Footloose movie marathon, Footloose, and Footloose 2011.
Yeah.
I forgot that Footloose, the remake, came out in 2011. So that made me feel old.
I loved Brittany's line. She's like, it's springtime. I would like to see something give birth.
Yes.
That was so good.
And I'm like, if you're in rural Ohio, that's a possibility. Just go to a petting zoo or somebody's farm.
Yeah, really.
But Quinn suggests Six Flags. And they're all like excited about it, but then Rachel starts crying. Earlier, Tina started crying.
Yeah.
She was like,
I don't.
She was like close to tears, but she
was like, I don't want any tears because then that means you, Tina. And she's just going. I was like, okay, that was weird.
And then Rachel starts crying, and she's like, "You were answering my text. You're on the way to my wedding. I feel responsible, and this is supposed to be your senior ditch day, and we're just ignoring the fact that you're in this chair." And Quinn is like, "Rachel, this isn't your fault. I'm okay. Now give me a hug.
It kind of sucks that Quinn also has to bear the emotional burden for other people, that like people have to like apologize to her or like feel a lot of sympathy, and she just like, I want things to just be normal, like just treat me normally. Like that really sucks.
I mean, that happens though, like
I know,
all
but
the
it
time.
also it really sucks because Quinn never gets anything that she should have, and it just everything gets worse for her.
True. She's got the short end of the stick most of the time in this show.
Yeah. So yeah, then they decide to go to Six Flags, and then she has to go up. She's with Artie, and she's trying to go up the back ramp of the school, which is the steepest ramp in Lima.
Wait, I thought they were just talking about the school.
No, I think he meant the city. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
no, it's in the city.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I get it now. It's not that steep, but of course, I'm not in a wheelchair trying to go up it. So
Yeah, I could just imagine like how hard that is just trying to push up in general. And if it is that steep, like you gotta have lots of strength for that.
Yeah, it kept cutting to just her hands, so I'm wondering if they had like a stunt person in there.
Yeah.
Pushing
instead
her
of
up.
her.
Yeah, and someone pushing too, probably.
Yeah.
I thought it was a cute scene. I thought Quinn acted it really well, where she was like laughing along, and he was like, push, push, and she's like, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's like, it's just like giving birth. Yeah, it was cute. It was one of those moments where I was like, oh, okay, like she's gonna be getting used to this, and you know, she has Artie to help her out, which I really was like, oh yeah, like Artie's doing something really nice, like he's trying to help her get adjusted. Yikes.
Did you know that Quinn was pregnant? You, David.
What? You
Quinn
kind of
was-
glitched out.
Oh, Quinn was pregnant before. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay.
I listened to probably about that part, and then I haven't listened to much after that. I got through like season 2.5 or something.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's a lot of episodes. And it's a
You
lot
gotta
of us.
catch up. You gotta catch up to the one where Mom is on.
Yeah, your mom was hilarious. Oh yeah, we should mention we had Alyssa's mom, and then now it's her brother, so same family.
Yes. And then the only other person left in my family is my dad. So.
Have fun with that.
I was like, this is gonna be interesting. What he thinks.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't think he listens to our podcast. So.
So then he's like, Six Flags is going to be really difficult. Like going to a theme park while you're in a wheelchair, like there's not a lot to do. The accommodations aren't there. So he's like, I have another idea to do for Senior Ditch Day. Meanwhile, we get the scene where Finn almost steps on Joe's feet while texting and walking.
He's barefoot in the school. Ooh,
Gross.
Who was? I totally missed that.
dreads.
The guy with the dreads.
Yeah.
And Finn almost steps on his toes.
And then Quinn's like, don't text and do anything.
She's like texting and walking. That's how it starts.
Yeah.
It's like a gateway drug.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that.
Yeah.
Poor Finn. He's just like, oh, I mean, okay, I won't. I don't usually. It was pretty awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he's like, I was just getting the Six Flag tickets, and she's like, oh, count me out. Me and Artie are doing something. So then she goes to the skate park with Artie.
Which that would be a terrible scene. I would hate that. I'd be like, if someone wanted to surprise me and that was the surprise for Senior Ditch Day, I'd be like, I'm going home. I wouldn't even try. I'd be like, this is dumb. I'm going home and I'm going to watch TV.
Wait, did you actually have a senior ditch day?
They basically said anyone who's not here is going to get like 5 detentions. So no.
Oh, well, they loosened up because when I was in school at St. Joe, they said anyone who skips for senior ditch day doesn't get a diploma.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, why don't they just make it a different day? Like, make it in the fall.
Oh, no.
Yeah, like
without telling anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wouldn't call it senior ditch day because it was literally just a day that like they just decided like, yeah, seniors can have this day off. And then also like we basically got out of school like early May. Basically like we were done with classes. Like we only had to come to class if we had finals. So like we basically had like 3 weeks off until we had to like our actual graduation. So like senior ditch day was literally like the school was like, okay, here's a day where you guys can just not come. And I think it was like Fridays, so we had a long week.
That was similar to ours. Like if we didn't have to take finals, we didn't have to come to school. So we got like 2 weeks off before. Mm-hmm. If you were smart. If you weren't smart, you had to go in and take finals.
I think I had to take one final because I would often, like I would walk to my grandma's house during work because she lived right down the street. And then I would just like be there eating lunch and watching TV. And I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to go in. Like, I'll get my work tomorrow. It's whatever. And it was always my math class in the afternoon. So I had to take that final because I had too many days missed in that class. But anyway.
Cullen, did you have a senior ditch day?
My senior ditch day was recording the cast album for my musical because I still had school to do and I kept skipping to go to the recording studio. And so it was like July by the time I finished my senior year because I kept skipping.
Oh.
And my mom
but I
was
guess
like,
it was for a good cause.
Yeah. But my mom was like, you need to finish school or you like, they'll rescind your college admittance. So like I like had to like do it at the last minute. And then like I literally finished school and like left all my books as they were. My mom said she went down to the basement like years later and just my textbooks were just there.
Just like open.
She doesn't ever go into the basement?
Not often.
Oh,
that's so funny. It's just like you had disappeared out of thin air. That's spooky.
So that was my senior ditch day. I was just a bad student. So they go to the skate park and
it's an interesting parallel to Six Flags for, I guess, like people in wheelchairs, which I thought was interesting. And I like that they're showing, you know, other people with other abledness, you know, doing skateboarding and other stuff, which was cool. Mm-hmm. But it did remind me of that, like, one of our privileged characters needs to go to a place where there is someone who is not as privileged to learn a lesson or something like that. So it still kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
And then everyone, including the people who aren't seniors, else goes to Six Flags, not Cedar Point, which I would guess.
Yeah, isn't Six Flags like in Chicago?
There was a Six Flags in Ohio. I don't remember where it was, but I don't think it's there anymore.
Because I know they have Kings Island too, but
yeah,
that's
Kings Island was fun.
Yeah, it was in. Yeah, no. I don't really know. There's not one anymore. I think it used to be. Chicago used to be Six Flags.
They just paid to have their name in it, so.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. Because they're probably in California at Universal or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Six Flags Magic Mountain in Santa Clarita, or.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. We have a Six Flags here.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
I've never been. I never liked roller coasters as a kid, so I never wanted to go. I do now. It's weird.
Fun.
I always was that kid that was like, I was like 5 and could go on like the Batman ride because I was so tall.
Oh my God.
I've never not been able to go on a roller coaster.
They really wanted to get kids at a certain age, and they're like, you know, we're gonna use height because we don't want to use age.
Yep.
And then you were like, nope, I'm gonna grow so I can do it.
Yep, all my friends would be jealous because I'd be going off on those rides where your feet dangle, and I had so much fun.
God. That's so funny.
My brother is 6'5".
Yes, 77 inches.
Damn.
Yep.
I have never been under 2 feet. I was born at 25 inches.
Is that true?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yep.
I mean, okay, so we're saying, you know, not in utero, because obviously you were a lot smaller in there, you know, as you were growing. But
was a 2-foot fetus.
but yeah, so like when you came out, wow, that's really interesting.
Yes. Since
Oh
I've
God,
been
your poor mom.
alive, like in the world, I have
Yeah.
been no less than 25 inches.
That's funny. But you didn't come out with a briefcase and a cellular telephone. And
That
you
is
didn't go
correct.
to
I did
your
not have those
job at a
things.
law firm where you just made partner.
But yeah, well, everyone's at Six Flags. Quinn and Artie are at the skate park, and they sing "Up, Up, Up."
I've never heard that song before.
Neither did I.
Neither have I.
Okay, cool.
I
wonder if
it's new for all of us.
Is it a Glee original?
No.
Okay, it's just a song.
Yeah.
I don't even really remember it.
I thought it was kind of fun, but
Yeah.
I didn't recognize any of the lyrics, and I was like,
And then Quinn is at the end of the skate park. She's like, "Oh, this was fun," and Artie's like, "Yeah, I thought you'd enjoy spending time with cool people in the same situation you're in." And she's like, "Well, it's not the same situation. I won't be in here forever. I'll be walking soon." And he's like, "You don't know that." Like,
You won't.
yeah.
do it, you won't. Yeah, she literally says, "I'm not like you," and I was like, "Ooh, that was
Yeah. Yeah.
It just kind of devolved into too many emotions in this conversation and people saying things that they probably didn't mean or they meant but probably shouldn't have said.
But were they talking to each other? Because I didn't see any pointing.
True.
We don't know.
Yeah, and so she's like, "I'm going to Yale and I'm walking." I'm like,
That's basically her thing. It was like, I'm gonna go to Yale and then I'm gonna walk. I'm gonna walk around New Haven.
Well, it almost sounded like she was saying that if she couldn't get out of the wheelchair, she wouldn't be able to go to Yale. And I'm like, that's not really how that works. You can still go to Yale if you're
You still got in. They
Yeah.
can't take it away from you because you got in a wheelchair because that's discrimination.
Yep.
yeah.
That's
So
against the law.
You're gonna be fine. It's gonna be harder, but you know, still go to Yale.
But I mean, also, what are we supposed to think here? Like that she's in denial? Or
Yeah, I don't know.
because like, are we supposed to be on her side or Artie's side? It was very confusing for me. Like I instinctually want to be on Quinn's in Quinn's corner because I mean her doctor literally told her like
With physical therapy, it's possible.
yeah. So for someone to just be like, yeah, you're never gonna walk again is rude.
And
Yes.
it's not Artie's place to be the realist. If it comes down to like, honey, you need to prepare for what if you have trouble walking in the future, that would be maybe her mom's job or like a best friend or something. But like an acquaintance from choir class, it's not your place.
Yeah.
to be like, you're never going to walk again.
This is the first time her and Artie are really like connecting on any sort of level. So yeah, but here's the thing is like, I totally empathize with Artie too, is that like, he's in a situation where he is quite literally alone. Like there's no one really else at the school like him. And, you know, he finally has someone who shares this experience with him, and, you know, maybe he has someone to help him and, you know, be a friend this way. So it's sort of like I don't want to say a hope that she stays like this, but it might kind of be, which is totally, you know, I empathize with. Like I can understand that from his perspective, which is what's crazy is that like normally we'd be like, oh, this is just awful, but like I feel like this is super realistic and well written in general. Like it's complex in a good way.
Yeah. It's an interesting conflict. Yeah. Then, so Quinn is at her locker and her books fall out, and Joe helps her, and he's like, you should request a lower locker. And she's like, no, this has been my locker my entire time. It will be my locker when I finish. And he's like, you know, I pray for you. And he's like, I pray that you'll have patience and will accept whatever plan God has. And she's like, well, thank you for your prayers, but I'm going to be able to walk again.
She's like, hey, take your prayers and shove them up your ass.
Yeah. But then she like walks back on it. Ouch. Sorry. Rolls back on it. But she literally says kind of to herself, but also to him, it's like, sorry, self-obsessed bitch. And I'm like, the writers really hate Quinn. Like they want her to hate herself. Like,
you know, like of all the people to say, like, she doesn't even come close to being the most self-obsessed bitch on this show. Like,
yeah,
not even close.
Rachel.
Like right now, absolutely not. Especially like, and yeah, I think in general, like it's always been Rachel. But like, Rachel has never said that to herself. It's like, okay, yeah, Quinn has some self-awareness, but like, I don't think she was being a self-obsessed bitch. Like, I think she's really struggling with this, you know, mental turmoil that she's probably going through with her new physical condition. So like, it's understandable. So that line felt really out of place for me.
Yeah, it was uncalled for. Okay, question though. Did you guys not switch lockers every year? Because I switched lockers every year.
Yeah,
I did too.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, not every year. So we went in, so ours was a 7 through 12 school. So I had the same locker 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, except 9th I was homeschooled. So yeah, I had the same locker. And actually when I came back, my locker was still empty, so they just gave it back to me for 10th grade. And then 11th and 12th grade, we went to the junior and senior side of the school to change. But yeah, but they change our locker combinations every year and stuff. But
for us, each hallway was a different class. Yeah. So it would be freshman hallway, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior hallways. So you would move to a different hallway.
I think so. They rotated the 7th, 8th, you know, those incoming classes. So like the second floor was our floor, and also the kids who came in right after us at a certain point. And then we would stay, and then everyone would kind of like shuffle. Like the newest kids would then go to the third floor. So they did kind of change up where different grades would be for a short amount of time. But yeah, we only had a junior and senior hallway separated because of how small our school is.
Interesting.
Yeah, we can ask Erica about it again when she comes back on the next episode or another episode. But yeah, because she was in a completely different hallway from me every single time because she was a couple years behind me.
Anyway. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And then Quinn asks Joe, she's like, hey, like, I think you should come and join me at Glee Club. Or I don't think she says Glee Club, but I have a place where I think you should join.
Yeah, she's like, you're so inspirational. I feel like you would fit in, you know, which, yeah, sure. I guess if that's going to be the basis of how someone gets into Glee Club is that they're inspirational, not that like they can sing. But I guess, Sugar's there.
We know that he can sing. Like people know he can sing.
Yeah, so why didn't she say that?
Yeah.
It didn't come up until after he actually gets there.
Well, it felt just weird because her reaction to his comments about prayer was like very abrupt and kind of like vitriolic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What did you say?
Rude.
I mean, yeah. But it was basically a 180 where she's like, oh, sorry for being a bitch. By the way, you inspire me?
Yeah.
What?
It's weird. Yeah.
It just seemed very strange. And I was like, but she just was like really angry with him. Like, there's no way that would go into inspiration. No.
Yeah. It was weird.
So then Joe arrives at the Glee Club and he does not sing to audition.
He just goes in. And Puck is like, hey, you have a twig in your hair. And he doesn't believe him. He thinks he's being teased. And Puck's like, no, seriously, you have a twig in your hair. And he was like, oh, thanks, man. Like, that was weird. Don't know why that happened at all. That was a waste of 25 seconds. Like, I'll never get back.
I actually thought that was pretty funny.
So that's the end of the Quinn storyline. Mm-hmm. Any final comments on Quinnifer's?
Let me take a look at my notes.
Oh, fancy notes on your phone.
I have an overall comment.
For Quinn?
No, just about the episode.
Okay. Let's hold it in.
Okay.
Till the end.
Hold it in as much as you can.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of the storylines, it was relatively straightforward. I think it was complex enough for it to be interesting and also realistic without it kind of being too Glee over dramatic.
Mm-hmm. Who wrote this episode?
I didn't write it down.
You. Uh-huh. Yeah. While you were in what grade?
I was 16 at the time, so sophomore year, junior year of high school.
Oh.
Michael Hitchcock. That's who wrote this.
Good job, Mikey.
Yeah. This came out my senior year of high school. I graduated in 2012.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
So my sophomore
I was
year.
in college.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think you're a year ahead of us, right, Alyssa?
Yeah, I graduated 2011.
I graduated in 2015.
You're the baby.
Baby.
Yep.
All right, so let's quickly talk about Sue and her situation. So Sue is told that she's discriminated against because of her pregnancy.
Yeah, she is. Let's talk about that. So basically we're talking about when she goes into Figgins' office, right?
Yeah, and he's like, you've been absent, you've been distracted, and so Roz is going to be the co-coach of the Cheerios. Someone, I don't remember if it's him or her, but he literally says, like, this is keeping you from performing your work. That's discrimination. Like,
But
so
do they know that she's pregnant?
yes.
I don't know what happened before this episode. So.
Yeah, so she basically got pregnant and then told everyone.
And that's
Okay.
and that's why Roz has that thing where I laughed because she's like, you're older than God.
Yes.
But yeah, that's why Roz like confronts her, basically being like, you know, your pregnancy is making you weak and find a new dream. I was like, oh my God.
Ooh. Yeah. So I was proven wrong. She does not have a hysterical pregnancy.
Yeah.
But some other things happen that
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Other things
so-
do happen.
other things happen with this pregnancy.
So Sue tells Figgin, she's like, if I win the Glee Club Nationals and get the cash prize, will I get sole coachship of the Cheerios? And he's like, sure.
Well, I don't understand how those are even related at all.
Because they need money, and the cash prize allows her to have money for the school so that she can run the Cheerios without having to worry about making money with them.
What doesn't make sense to me is that she has a track record of being very successful. And really, if there's anything to say that like something that has brought her down is herself, not her pregnancy. Like the year before, they lost because she tried to put a human child, she was 16 or 17, in a human cannon as part of her thing. So like clearly it's her that has, you know, broken her own record. And this is just an excuse for them to
get her
I don't even
out.
know. Yeah.
Which
so like
is definitely discriminatory.
Yeah, you cannot base any of your decisions about someone's work performance on, you know, pregnancy, disability, etc. Like you can't do that.
Yeah. So then she is at booty camp and she's upset that she's like, you're texting, you're late, because Finn is like, I got us tickets for the train museum in Chicago, and Mercedes is texting and everyone's just a mess, and she's like,
actually Mercedes is donating to the Obama campaign, and then Sue takes her phone and chucks it across the auditorium, and it was hilarious.
So wait a second, if they're going to the train museum in Chicago, maybe they are going to Chicago for Six Flags. Maybe, yeah. I thought there was a Six Flags in Ohio, but maybe it had already been gone by then.
Was this before that scene? Before the Six Flags scene?
This was before the Six Flags scene, yes.
Oh, okay. So then maybe I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, it would make sense. The timeline adds up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And can we just for a second? This is still called booty camp. Still, I don't understand why.
Because shaking your booty is dancing, and it's a dance boot camp.
I thought they only did that
dancing
for like one episode, and then
I think they were like, oh, you know, look how helpful it was to Finn. You know, he can barely do this simple, you know, move, but you know he can kind of do it. So let's have everyone join it. It's probably just like their choreography session. They just like labeled as booty camp.
Yeah. So Sue is just yelling at them, and then she's in the lunchroom with Emma eating lunch, and Will comes in and is like, I got this email from Kurt, come save us, she's meaner than Tabitha. And Sue is like, I don't know what that means, but I assume it's very gay and niche.
So it's also a really good reference because unfortunately that show isn't around anymore. Tabitha Coffey was she was like a world-renowned hairstylist, and she had this show where she would go to salons across the country and she would help the stylist get better, and she would basically revamp the whole salon. It was a great show, but she was a badass and she was very mean. But you know what? It paid off because yes, Hell's Kitchen, but for hair. Yeah. It was great. I miss that show so much.
Okay, good. You know what it is because I had no idea.
And I have to agree, it's very gay and very niche. But my mom and I would watch it, so like I think it's like I think it had to have been like TLC or something like that, or Bravo. I think it was Bravo.
It sounds familiar. Like I remember that being a show.
Yeah, she had platinum blonde hair, very short, very like cut jawline, always wear black, and she would just, yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
And he's like, you can't be mean to these kids. We need to inspire them. And then she's like, I don't know how she gets to this, but she's like, I'm going to the doctor to find out the sex of my baby.
Yeah. Well, no, the sex of my daughter is what she said. Which I found interesting, that either she's like, it could either be a male sex or a female sex, but still my daughter, which I thought was interesting. Yeah.
And
or she just slipped up.
Or she just slipped up, but she was like the
she
sex
knew the
of
script.
Yeah. Oh, maybe
beforehand.
Emma's like, are you going alone? And she's like, yes, I'll be going with whoever is helping me raise the baby, which is myself.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, you should go to have a friend with support. Like, we'll come with you. And
well, I mean, she like says this is the most important doctor's visit of what your pregnancy. You have to have moral support. And I was just kind of like, finding out the sex of your baby isn't really like, it's exciting, but it's, I don't know.
It might be important to make sure that the baby is still healthy. I don't know a lot about this. That's what I actually read it as, more as like knowing the health. But yeah, it is confusing because she's going to find out the sex of the baby. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is kind of confusing.
yeah, it made me think of Will and Terry when
And that doctor who is Asian, and she once said that she had a crush on the Karate Kid who was not Asian. I think about that 5 times a week.
Why, Hannah?
Because it's disturbing. And it haunts me.
So they go to the doctor's, and Sue is like, the idea of a boy clinging to my uterine wall, and it disgusts me.
That was a really good line.
And then the doctor brings them in and is like, oh, Will, are you the father? Or like looks at Will, is like, oh, are you the father? And they're like, she's like, no, these are just my friends. They're here for moral support. Anything you can say in front of me, you can say in front of them. And she's like, the doctor is like, well, you're having a girl. And so they're excited, but there's some irregularities in your amniotic fluid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which I think I just immediately assumed because of her sister having Downs. I just assumed, okay, the story is going to make her baby also have Down syndrome. I don't know if that's like fully clarified in this episode or if it will be later or something, but that's how I read it. Was that like, I just kind of assumed that's where the story was going to go.
I didn't get that in this scene, but I got it in another scene later.
Yeah. I think I just like guessed it because of context of her life. So I saw Glee's tricks.
I was supposed to have Down syndrome.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what they told my mom.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why is that? Like, what came up? Do you know?
I just know that it happened to her and a lot of her friends who were having babies in 1994. It was like a common thing. So I think it doesn't happen as much, but a lot of babies were supposed to be Downs and then weren't.
Interesting. I'll have to ask my mom about that.
Doctors thought that this certain thing meant that it was going to happen, and then they were wrong.
Yeah,
that's what I think too.
Yeah, I'll have to ask my mom about that today.
Did we glaze over the scene where Sue apologizes?
No, we haven't
got that coming up.
It's coming out. Yeah. Because next we have a scene where Becky is like, I heard about your baby. You're having a girl, and she's like,
like, can I give you some parental advice?
Yes.
I loved that. I was like, oh, Becky.
She's like, we're trying to work on your patience.
Pure.
Which is great advice.
This is the part where I figured out that she was having a Downs baby, because Becky says, oh, like me. And then Sue says, yeah, like you. Exactly like you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then she hugs Becky, and Becky goes, please don't start lactating. Becky is great.
Yes.
I wish we had more of her. She's an interesting character. She always has some good lines.
Yeah. And then Sue comes back to the Glee Club and she apologizes. And
one of my favorite lines in the episode, Sue's like, I'm here because Shootster needs at least one adult friend.
Yes.
yeah, I cackled.
This is the one in the auditorium or the one in the classroom?
Classroom. Right?
I thought it was the auditorium.
That was in the
auditorium. Because we have one in the classroom where she writes...
lazy idiots on the
lazy
board.
Idiots, yeah.
She apologizes in the auditorium, though.
Yeah.
That's when they bring Neil in.
Oh, the classroom one.
Yeah. So we'll have to talk about that one. But yeah, so I have to get that in. The lazy idiots thing, 100%. Even when she's actually trying to be nice, she's still kind of an asshole. And I miss this version of Sue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's basically Sue's storyline, and that connects with the Blaine storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the titular storyline, Big Brother, Blaine seems down, and it's because his brother is in town.
Neil
Cafrey from White Collar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, you're saying Neil, and then I was like, got it.
Yeah. He stars in his own show, and it's really good. So if you haven't watched it,
literally when he came on the screen, I was like, God, I forgot how gorgeous he is. Like,
I kept wanting him to steal something. Or like break into somewhere.
Yeah.
There were a few times he was like lurking in the background and I was like, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna steal something?
He may have picked Sue's pocket when he hugged her. We don't know.
true.
That could be.
It's canon now. Canon.
Oh my God, what if actually, if we combine these universes, Cooper Anderson like landed that role? That's Cooper Anderson instead
As
of
Neil Cafrey.
Yeah.
Oh.
Nice.
Interesting. I think. Ooh.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, so then he appears, Coop, as he calls him.
Cooper Anderson. We have to talk about his name really quick. It's the inverse of Anderson Cooper, who, if anyone doesn't know, is a CNN news host. He's got that beautiful white hair, glistening blue eyes. He's gorgeous. But he actually came out in 2012. I don't know when, but I think it was around here. So I just thought that was an interesting little factoid. I was like, ooh, I wonder if they like latched onto his name because everyone was like, we love Anderson Cooper because he's amazing. So fun fact.
Did not know that.
Wait, came out?
Yeah, he came out as gay. So I was wondering if Ryan Murphy was like giving an ode to him.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The actor that plays Neil is also gay.
Yes.
Cooper is also gay. So Neil and Cooper.
Yeah. Neil and Cooper.
So he appears and he's all like, oh, my big brother, my little brother, and is this his boyfriend? And Kurt's like, oh my gosh, you're the guy from the credit rating commercial.
And then the commercial happens and I was like, I love this.
And Kurt's like, I love that commercial. I have it as my ringtone.
And I was like, no one does that. And then I'm like, wait,
Kurt
people might do that.
has the most annoying voice that I have ever heard in my life. Like Patrick Mahomes is like Kermit the Frog, but like Kurt is a totally different level. Like it's just so bad. Like I was cringing. It was like, you know, when you scrape a chalkboard with your nails. Like that was me listening to his voice.
I'm still not over the Patrick Mahomes thing. I have never heard that, and now I'm like, oh
You'll
my God.
never forget it. Every time you hear his voice, he sounds like Kermit the Frog.
Oh my God. That's hilarious. Okay, anyway. Yeah. It's sort of that commercial that they show is sort of a mix of I'm trying to think of what the commercial is that like JG Wentworth, like the big musical.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's mixed that
commercial
and something else, but like, yeah, it's over the top. It's literally a musical. He winks. It's terrific.
I still know the phone number for JG Wentworth.
Are you gonna sing it for
877 cash now?
I can, yeah.
Sing
Call
it.
JG Wentworth, 877 cash now, 877 cash now, 877 cash now. Call now. Like the guy with the Viking
Standing
helmet
ovation. Amazing.
on. I don't know if they're still open, so if you try and call that number for anyone listening, you might be able to get some cash. Maybe.
Now.
Yeah, right now.
If you have, but only if you have a structured settlement, and you need cash now.
Gotcha. I just know the phone number.
You're like, I don't know what it's for. They're just giving away free cash.
Yeah.
And so Sue shows up and is like, because Kurt is like, Blaine, you didn't tell me your brother was the handsomest man in North America. And Sue shows up and is like, will you sign my left breast?
She exposes herself in the middle of the hallway.
Yep.
I think like you see like a slight bra, but it was like, what?
And he signs like a lengthy message on there.
Yeah. It's terrific.
And she's like, if Alan Menken isn't personally writing you a fairy tale musical right now, I will
Find him and beat him down, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Do you have a pet?
Yeah, I've got my dog. She's over there. Do you want me to turn the camera?
Yeah.
Can't see her. I want to snuggle her. She's so sweet. She's the sweetest little dog, and she has what I call perpetual sad face.
Hello.
Okay.
Oh, no baby. Oh.
She has one ear that is like cocked at all times.
Oh. Is it a boxer mix?
Yeah.
Oh,
She's
I love boxer.
supposedly a boxer pit bull mix, but we just call her a boxer mix because then I can
People
live
don't
anywhere.
get angry. Yeah.
Hello.
Oh my
But
god.
that is her.
She's so beautiful.
Beautiful. I love boxers.
Hello.
Did she watch the episode with you? Does she have something to say about it?
No, she was playing with her boyfriend.
Oh.
She has a boyfriend now?
Yes, his name's Chaco. It's Rebecca's dog.
Oh, I see. So your girlfriend and her boyfriend.
Yes.
That's convenient.
I know.
Yeah, there you go.
very 101 Dalmatians.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so Blaine is less than thrilled about his brother being back, and Sue asks Cooper if he'll come to the Glee Club and give them a bit of a lesson because he's doing something a lot of the kids want to do. So this is where she writes on the board, "Lazy idiots."
Yes.
Yes.
And she's like, "Here is Porcelain's famous brother," and Blaine's like, "He's actually my brother." Cooper Anderson. And he comes to talk to them, and they're all like, "Oh, we love that commercial." And I get all his different advice mixed up when he exactly says it. But he's like, yeah, and Rachel's all like, "Oh, I bet there's plenty of holiday duet by the piano."
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "We were known for our Duran Duran impressions." And he's like, "Let's do it." And Blaine's like, no. And he's like, "Come on, they're asking for it." So they do a Duran Duran mashup of Hungry Like a Wolf and Rio.
I love Duran Duran, and I love this cover. The harmonies are just chef's kiss. The dancing, it's whatever, it works. It's terrific. I love it so much.
two very handsome men with great voices in sync.
Yeah.
Us. I was
Where
pleased.
was all that electronic music coming from?
Great question.
And
Where
the voice
was
changer?
Yes, the muffle, like hungry like the wolf. Like how?
Yes.
How did he do that? But Santana's face, you'll notice, our character was like at the exact same time that it happened, thinking the same thing. Like, how is this happening? They're magical.
Yeah, I love Santana's face.
She was so confused.
Yeah. So yeah, they do Duran Duran, and then afterwards they're at lunch at Breadsticks, and he's like, "Yeah, I thought your dancing could have used a little work." He's telling Blaine this, and he's like, "How come you always have to criticize me? You criticize like everything I do." He gets this flashback to when they were kids, and he's dancing to Mbop. And he's like, "Your balance is all off." He's like, "I only learned how to walk 3 months ago."
3 years ago.
3 years ago. 3 months ago.
Oh my God, that poor 6 or 5-year-old. Yeah, that was really funny. And I love that they're wearing the exact same outfits, basically, like, but in smaller kid version. It was very funny.
And then Cooper, at the beginning of this scene, the waitress is coming up and he's like, "Top of the morning to ya," and like in bad accent.
He's like practicing for a role, right? I think that's what he says.
He says it's
like,
just wait stuff are good to practice your accents on.
Oh yeah. And
So
I was
your
like,
instrument never. What was it? Tires out or something?
Something.
I don't know.
It was very weird, and it was bad accent. Yeah. Oh God. He was a joy in this episode. Like, I think of like other characters who would randomly come in, like Brian Ryan, who was pretty insufferable from season 1. Kristen Chenoweth's character, who was relatively insufferable, but in some ways kind of funny. But like, he was just a joy every time I saw him.
Well, I think he's also insufferable, but he's like really shallow, and they don't try to fix it. Like that's what his character is.
Yes.
So I was okay with it.
Yeah, you just surrender to it, and you're like, yeah. And then I love his acting class. Can we please talk about the acting master class? I want to talk about it for conservatively 17 hours.
Okay. We're gonna have to cut a lot out.
So we're at his master class that he's giving, and he's
so
like,
he has on the whiteboard, he wrote, his master class, and then he has his headshots like taped along the side.
Yep.
Oh, it's so good.
and he's like, first rule of acting, always turn into a pose.
Yeah, and he like does it like, and once, twice, one more, and everyone's just like, yes, they're loving it.
And they're like clapping.
They're taking notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Blaine's like, why are you writing any of this down to Kurt?
But it's so very much like Midwest children with an LA person.
Yeah.
Like, very much so.
And an LA person who clearly has no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah. And he's like, what is it? He's like, LA is where it's at. You have to go to Hollywood. Broadway
Don't
is
go to
dead.
college.
Don't go to college. It's a waste of time. And
New York's dead.
Broadway's dead. And Rachel like, is horrified. She looks at Kurt and they're both like,
He's like, LA is where it's at. The real actors do film and TV. And then he's like, here's the tip, never pay attention to what your scene partner is doing. It's just distracting from all the awesome acting choices I've made ahead of time.
yeah. And he also is like, sometimes I wear earplugs. I don't make eye contact with them. He also is like, he's like, I have a couple things written down. Always point. That's the key. He's like, what's the key to a dramatic scene? And then he's like, it's pointing. And then don't listen to anything they're saying. And then scream everything you're saying because you have a lot of emotion. I loved every second of it. And Blaine's literally like, this is bad advice.
He's like, whenever it's hard to tell if a scene is comedic or dramatic, so always ask the
director.
It shows you're someone who's not afraid to ask questions.
Is the scene, but if you're not sure if it's dramatic or comedic, ask the director, is the scene dramatic or comedic? I could just imagine that happening and that person instantly being fired.
Yeah. And then he's like, because you're in my brother's class, I have some level 2 stuff. I get some sides from a new show that I got auditioned for, NCIS. And Pocket's like, my Nana loves that show. Because everyone's grandma loves NCIS.
And then this is the most the best representation of how the show treats Tina. Her role in this scene is a dead body. Like, I was like, oh my God, they fucking did that.
They know. Between last episode, I Just Want a Song, and this, they know that
they
Tina is the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
That was pretty fun.
And Rachel is like doing her line. She's pointing, looking at her line. She's pointing not even at Blaine. She's just pointing. And then Blaine's like trying to like, he's just kind of reading the lines. He's so like over it. And then Cooper's like, no, like, let's do it again. Like, trying to give him quote unquote tips.
Yep. And then Blaine starts yelling at him, and then he's like, good, but none of us knew who you were talking to because you weren't pointing. And everyone's like, oh.
And like, he was like, I was having a real argument with you in front of these people, and you turned it into a scene. He goes, okay, scene, that was great. We'll try it again next time. And then... No. And then, like, it's Blaine's face, and then you hear in the background Cooper going, all right, so let's try this exercise called Emotion Tornado. You put your hands up, and I was like, I need to see this. And then it cut away. It was like, no! Yeah, it was so good.
He's definitely like an idiot. He is. Yeah. He does not understand his job at all.
No, not at all.
And then so then him and Blaine are arguing in the hallway. He's like, I was just trying to help you out, trying to push you. He's like, you're always pushing me down. And then he starts singing Fighter by Christina Aguilera.
I liked that song.
Immediately when this started, I was literally like, yes, the Christina Aguilera boxing scene. But then I was also like, he started singing it in his normal outfit, and I was like, it's really hard to take his anger so seriously when he's wearing Argyle. Like, he looks like Mr. Rogers. And then immediately he took it off. I was like, okay, good. Now I can take it seriously.
I had something about this song. Let me pull out my notes. Just
okay, very official.
He's boxing. He's singing angrily in the shower.
Oh yeah, steamy shower back muscles singing angrily.
So my comments about the last scene in that song. So when we get there, are we to that? He's on the stage.
Yes. Oh God.
The only thing that I could notice during that entire scene was that his tag was out on his sweater.
No, like the back of the tag?
Yep.
And it's in other scenes too. It was like he had his vest inside out or something.
This is 2012 Starbucks cup. That is the equivalent of this drama right now. Wow.
Yeah, it was really bad. And all I could see during that whole thing when they kept going around him, it's just a little tag. Because it's a black tag on like a white like diamond.
Oh my God. I'm going to have to go back and watch that. I for sure will, because that's a bearable scene to watch.
Yeah, because he's singing angrily at this wall of screens with his brother's face on them.
Why would you set that up for a song that you're just singing? Like, it makes me think that that when they go into the auditorium, they're singing by themselves. It feels like sometimes it's just like they're imagining. It feels like a dream sequence in a way. Like, that's what I'm trying to justify. I was like, this has to be just like a dream sequence, and he's imagining seeing this. Like in school, it's not actually happening.
Yeah, it's definitely a fantasy.
Yeah, this was a fun song though. I was into it.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was lit.
Although
I think this is the first time I've heard it.
It was about a cheating person, so it didn't really fit the context.
That's a great thing to point out because Blaine doesn't know what songs mean. And we talked about that last week where he sang a quote unquote inspirational song that we basically decided was actually about thinking about committing suicide. Not really inspirational. And then a little bit later on, he also doesn't understand what songs mean and is singing a certain song to his brother that we'll have to talk about.
Yes, there are several moments where they're like, well, these have words in them that accurately describe what we want, but they're not taking into account
there's a lot of other words that don't.
Yeah.
My only criticism of this song is that Christina Aguilera has that really gruff gravel to her voice, and he doesn't really get that, which kind of sucks. I wonder if his voice just doesn't do that, or they just didn't recommend him doing it. That's my only critique, and it's a critique, not a criticism, because there's a lot of reasons why they probably didn't do that. Because I actually don't think that's good for your voice.
Well, that happens a lot for smokers too. Did she smoke?
No, I think that's just her voice. Like her voice has always done that.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's like a gravelly vibrato.
I'm gonna have to listen to the original version of this song though, because I like this
slaps. Yeah, it's really good.
So then Blaine apparently didn't join them on senior ditch day because he's not a senior, but
so that makes sense.
And Kurt is like, here's my dog, or he called it Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But Blaine was invited.
Yeah.
So okay, but he decided not to go because he would just quote bring you down.
That, and he had a date with that boxing thing.
Yes.
And the screens in the auditorium. He had already booked it. He planned to sing angrily. Yeah.
And he's like, this is Maggie Thatcher. My relationship with the Queen was rough.
Yeah, that's a good joke for all you royal heads out there, but also anyone who likes to watch The Crown.
Yep, I haven't gotten to that season yet.
Me either.
I have less obsession with the British monarchy than a lot of Americans.
I don't really care either.
Yeah, I only like The Crown because it's a good show.
I tried watching it, actually.
I never even knew it was about that until 3 weeks ago when someone told me, and I was like, oh, I just thought it was some medieval show.
Oh my gosh. Clearly it's something out of your wheelhouse then.
Yeah.
But apparently Rachel kept making Finn win her stuffed animals, and he won her 12.
That's hard to do.
That's so much money. Carnivals are not cheap.
No.
Mm-hmm.
At that point,
Flags is not cheap.
Just buy the stuffed animals. You don't have to have the honor of winning something. That's so expensive. I bet you each of those stuffed animals was probably $20.
Not even. Oh, you mean to win them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Each.
Oh, I thought you meant to buy them in a store.
Oh no,
It'd be 3 to buy them in a store.
Yeah, I feel like to buy them or to win them, it'd be at least $20 each for all the games you have to play and all the tries. I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
That's just one sign that it's maybe not working out between them.
Which we'll get to. And Blaine's like, yeah, just in a rough place with my brother. Because earlier he said he had a big Michael Bay audition for a Michael Bay movie.
Okay, I have something to say about this.
Yeah.
Michael Bay is notoriously known as a control freak. He is angry and mean to people, and he does not have any time for anyone's bullshit. So this guy would be terrible on set, because if he's asking questions, is this scene comedic or dramatic? Michael Bay would slap him in the face. Also, Michael Bay would literally not have any of his shenanigans of not listening to the actor. I think Michael Bay would have killed him. So I think he got away pretty good, scot-free. Yeah. That's all I have to say.
So Kurt's like, have you tried talking to him? He's like, yeah, when I talk, he doesn't seem to listen. And he's like, maybe you should communicate a different way.
That's exactly what I said. I was like, when he says like he doesn't listen, I'm like, maybe you have to sing. And then Kurt goes, maybe you have to do something different. And I'm like, I looked at my roommate. I was like, I write this show.
And so he's like, he's in the auditorium waiting for you. So Blaine comes in and he starts singing Gautier, Somebody That I Used to Know.
Which is a breakup song.
Yes.
I was going to say it. There was more sexual tension between these two who are supposed to be playing brothers than there is between him and Kurt. Like, yeah. I was like, it's electric.
I actually really like this cover. And I like...
I did too.
If you like disregard the fact that it's a breakup song, it kind of fits the situation a little bit. Yeah.
It's like those segments work.
That it's a breakup song. It's like too popular to be known for anything else besides that.
Like, there are segments of the song that work for a general context, like they're using it. But then there's like other ones where it's like, this doesn't make any sense.
Have your friends collect your records and then change your number.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, like, are your friends helping you like move away from your brother? And what? This doesn't line up. That's why I'm like, there's just so much tension, sexual tension here. I can't. It's a lot.
Yeah, so then afterwards, they kind of come to an understanding, and he's like, I know we're brothers, but we're also friends, right? And Blaine's like, that's what I want. So they kind of have a reconciliation at the end.
Yeah. And I think it works. You know, it's clean enough, but it's not like super tidy. It's like, yeah, we'll keep working on it kind of thing.
Yeah. And so that's the end of the Big Brother storyline. So we just have the Puck and Finn storyline, which is pretty quick. Those just about fuck.
Storyline. Because that's how I feel. I'm like, fuck.
So Puck wants Finn to help him with his pool cleaning business, and he wants to go to LA where there's like
lots of pools.
800,000 or something, he said. Yeah.
He's like, with your brains and my jawline will be unstoppable. And I'm like, Finn's brains?
Question mark?
Yeah, no, that's really funny. I never even thought about that. Like, neither of them have to find a third person to get brains.
And he's like, Rachel,
pool cleaning is not fun.
Puck loves it though. It's like his thing, and I don't get it.
I work at a pool. That's
we can
my
ask
job.
the expert. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had an expert last.
It would not like. Go ahead.
Well, we had an expert last episode, and now we have an expert this episode too.
Perfect.
So basically, in the scene where the girl who's gonna marry
Rachel,
they're like talking at the locker, and he's like, oh, I'll support you with my business, or like Puck and I's business, and I'm your husband. I'm like, pool cleaning will make you like $5 an hour, and that's not enough in California. Just ask my sister.
Definitely not.
Yeah, like that's what I don't get is like Puck loves it. And like, he's clearly just disillusioned that like, okay, he can make a certain amount of money cleaning the 15 that are in Lima, but like also there's going to be more competition from way more professional people in Los Angeles. So like they need a third person for the brains, like really bad.
So yeah, he asks Finn to help with the motor of this woman's jacuzzi.
The woman who walks around her yard in tube top.
Yep.
It
was like 40 years old.
Yeah, but she was not wearing a tube top.
No.
Not that like I wanted her to be wearing a tube top, but like I don't think that's an accurate description.
Anastasia, where's the tube top? Yeah. So then he's helping with the motor, and he's like, "Oh, it's pretty simple." And Puck is like, "In California, she's considered ugly. Like, Blaine's famous brother said it right. Like, New York is dead. Hollywood's where it's at. Rachel could do her acting stuff there, and we could do our pool business. It seems like you're always the one sacrificing when I thought marriage was supposed to be like a team."
And this is where I wrote, Puck needs to stop being the voice of reason for people. He is not qualified because he's a terrible person, but he's not wrong. Like, marriage is supposed to be a team effort. And he points out rightfully that like Rachel, like their plans are Rachel's dreams. And it's very disorienting when Puck is the one pointing it out.
Yeah, but that is the only thing that he said correct in that conversation.
Yes. Everything else, very, very questionable.
Yeah.
Throw it out.
I wanted to throttle him when he was like, and she's considered ugly in California. I'm like, fuck you,
Listen,
man.
you guys, yeah.
I hated it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's at the locker. Like David said, he's like, "Why don't we go to LA? I could support you with my pool cleaning business, and you could go out for acting jobs." And she's like, "No, I need to go to New York. I'm a Broadway gal." Like, she said something in LA. It's
about what you did, and on
what you've
Broadway,
had done,
yes.
not what you do.
Yes,
in Broadway,
yes.
it's what you do.
Was she talking about like what you've had done, like
plastic surgery?
Plastic surgery. Yeah. Okay.
And then she's like, "I have to go to New York. This is our future." And he's like, "What? I'm just thinking about my future." She's like, "It's supposed to be our future." And he's like, "Well, it seems like we're only talking about what you want."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's very frustrating that like this is the first time this has come up. Like, I don't think Finn is that dumb. Like, I think Finn is bullheaded enough to realize, like, hey, but what about me? Like, I think he is smart enough for that. He can often be very emotionally intelligent. So that's what is really frustrating to me. But I have to say that, like, I think this scene was very well written, well acted as well. And I think it was all overall like really good, realistic, well written, and not like overly dramatic. Like, I thought it was a really good thing that they had it. Part of me wishes they'd had it sooner, but
yeah,
you know, it makes sense, I guess, in the thick of it that like they almost just got married and like, wow, like they could have made a really big mistake if they'd never had this conversation before doing that literally however many months ago.
Yeah. And what is Finn's line as he walked away is, "I just want you to make sure that you want to marry me for me, not for who you want me to be."
Yeah. And he also says, he'll say, you know, like, if we're planning to get married, and she goes, "If," where like he kind of does either a slip there or he's being serious at like, well, you know, this might not work out if we're not clear on these things. But yeah, I mean, my biggest thing about this whole scene was her outfit, to be honest. Didn't like that skirt and that top together.
What was it?
Also,
it was the pink shirt?
The shoulderless pink shirt with the bow and then the polka dot black skirt. It was horrible, one. Two, she would not be allowed to wear that in high school. You can't be showing your shoulders. It's too sexually
whatever they want
provocative.
in that school.
But in realism,
she's
you
not
can't
in
do
high
it.
school. She's like 28 in real life.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell you something, Hannah.
Yeah.
I loved that outfit.
Oh, Allyssa.
I thought
God.
it was blue, so that tells you how much I paid attention to it.
Oh, like recalling it, not like when you were watching, you're like, oh, that's a blue shirt. I'd be like, are you okay?
When you said her outfit, I was like, wasn't she just wearing like a blue shirt?
No, The thing that got me was that it was a peplum top, so it kind of flared out at the waist, and then she had like a flare, kind of a flaring skirt, like a ruffly skirt, and I was like, no, those are not matching silhouettes. All right, so we have a fashion difference. That's fine. That's fine.
Picked it.
That's fine.
I thought it was cute.
That's fine. That's fine. This is just my last episode on the podcast. I'm quitting. I can't live in this toxic environment. But, that's fine. No, I think I was screaming about it to my roommate. I think she also secretly liked it too. But she also did point out that, like, you can't wear that in high school. Like, your shoulders are showing. Like, no.
High school and real life and high school and TV are two very different situations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also depends on the high school. Some high schools don't give a shit.
Which makes me more livid about dress codes and the fact that we look at Rachel, who is an adult woman in real life, wearing this shoulderless, she has a very feminine shape. She's a woman. But then, like, if you think about, like, a kid, like a 16-year-old, 17-year-old kid wearing this, and the reason they're technically not allowed to wear it because, it's going to be overtly sexual, like, how could you even see that as the same thing? Like, how is that possible?
Mm-hmm.
It makes me livid.
It's very, like, I want to say kind of for the right reasons, but it doesn't work.
You should check out that new Netflix movie that's coming out, Moxie.
Moxie?
Yeah, about this girl who's gonna take on the system at her school, and like she gets a bunch of the girls to all wear like shoulderless outfits, and like she starts writing this secret journal because there's like harassment going on at her school, and the school's not doing anything about it. It's directed by Amy Poehler.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I mean, all I have to say about this whole sidebar is, my school is lucky that I wasn't as woke as I am now, because I would have fucking thrown a fit if I was in high school. Because like I commend all the different students who push back against different instances of where they're quote unquote called out for infringements on the dress code when like it's based on sexualizing young girls. Like, I commend them for doing that. Like, we should absolutely be challenging that culture and making it a conversation about like, well, why are we considering this lewd, etc. Like, why are we policing girls' bodies like this? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's all I have to say about that sidebar.
Well done.
I remember at homeschool prom, we were late my sophomore year, so we had to sit at the same table as the chaperones, and they were just sitting there like, that girl's dress is inappropriate. That girl's dress is inappropriate. And I remember thinking, like, this is all allegedly for my benefit. Why are you pointing them out to me?
Right.
It's more about...
so they weren't like talking amongst themselves. They were talking to you guys.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
weird.
No, that's not appropriate.
Yeah, weird. I was like, I am not woke at all, and I am 50 years old.
I like the way you put that. I like the way you put that. Is you're like, it's supposedly for your benefit as a male student. Like, you're not supposed to be distracted, quote unquote. Yeah. So why point it out? It is about just policing young girls' bodies. Anyway, I'm done.
We'll remove our soapbox. We're getting back in our chairs.
I'm getting off my soapbox.
So that's really the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Final comment.
I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
I actually genuinely liked this episode. And that's when I was like, I genuinely like this episode, but there's still 9 minutes. And then the Rachel Finn scene happened, and I was like, no, I think that was really solid. I don't really have anything that... there might be a couple things that we could change, but that would be dependent on like other episodes. But as an episode, I think it was really good.
Yeah, it was well done. Okay, what is your final comment, David? You've been holding it in this whole time.
He's just been shaking.
The credits at the beginning went all the way through past 8 minutes. They just kept coming.
Yeah. That's a lot of people. It
wouldn't stop, and I was like, this is distracting. Like, I'm being distracted by the credits rather than watching the TV show.
Interesting. Yeah, I never
like 8:10 by the time they stopped.
That's long. Yeah.
Every time, okay, so I watch with subtitles, and if the credits are on the bottom, then the subtitles are on the top, and it's right
and
over
that's why I noticed.
faces. Yeah.
That's why I noticed, because I watched it on your account, because I didn't want this on my recently watched history.
No,
so
that's valid.
Were on.
That's valid. Yeah, I used to have a Netflix account with like my mom. We shared it, and then she got rid of it. And then I was using my boyfriend's, his whole family is on this account, but I use his profile. So his profile says he likes The Crown, he likes Glee, and so that's valid. Yeah, you don't want to be tracked by, people who genuinely like Glee. You don't want the bots to think you like Glee. I get it.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, that was my comment.
That's really interesting.
It's annoying. Because they keep getting longer. It used to be just like the first minute or so.
Yeah.
But like David said, it was like 8 minutes long with subtitles over people's faces.
Yeah.
Because there's so many characters.
Yeah. We need to fire some people, or I was going to say kill some people off, but it's not Game of Thrones.
I mean, you could make it Game of Thrones.
We've only seen blood once.
Now that would be interesting. Did we actually see blood?
Yes, Rory's nose had one little thing of blood.
Oh, I don't even remember that. I think I remember being like, was there even blood?
A little tiny bit of blood.
Yeah, that's graphic. How dare they?
So now it's just Tina time. I think she had no lines.
I don't think she had any.
She cried and then she died. She was a dead body.
Yeah, no respect for Tina, even though this was a pretty good episode.
Yeah.
So now it's time for MVPs and LVPs. So, David, who is your least valuable player this episode?
I didn't really have one, but I had to think of one, so I put Kurt because I hated his voice so much.
I ran into the same problem where I was like, God, like everyone was okay. But then I was like, oh yeah, no, Figgins was discriminating against Sue. I'm gonna go with Figgins.
Yep, I second that. And I didn't even really realize it until you said it, but now that you did, I was like, well, okay, I guess he's getting the LVP.
Yeah.
I'm going with Artie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty awful.
He was helpful, but then he really overstepped his role as a friend.
And I think the only reason he didn't make my LVP was because I could empathize with what he was going through and his choices. So, at least it was logical.
Yeah, there was complexity to it.
Yeah, so Figgins, absolutely no logic to that at all.
Mm-mm.
Except that discrimination happens in the real world.
True.
So, David, who is your most valuable player?
Definitely Neil from White Collar.
Yeah.
Just because he was an amazing person. But that's about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I loved that Cooper character. He was so fun. And he wasn't insufferable in a way that was like, oh, I cannot watch you. It was like, I want to watch more of you. That's how bad you are. I loved the whole acting class. I may go back and watch that sequence again because it's so good. Yeah. Cooper Anderson for the win.
I'm going to go with Blaine because he's dealing with his brother, and his brother seems he would be the worst to deal with.
Yeah.
As a family member, you're probably just happy they left to LA. You don't feel that way about me, do you?
Huh? What? What were we talking about?
Oh,
yeah, I could just see the tension during the Thanksgiving dinners and like Christmas, and how Blaine just really doesn't want to deal with his brother, and like they kind of he just made an effort to like accept his brother and also stand up to him. So I'm going with Blaine.
I'm gonna go with Quinn. Okay. I thought she showed a lot of emotional strength dealing with her. Like, there's nothing wrong with being a little optimistic. And she had to deal with a lot of people's condescension or like excessive sympathy, and she dealt with it like a champ.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So now let's talk about the music. For songs, we had I'm Still Standing, Hungry Like the Wolf / Rio, Fighter, Up, 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 and Somebody That I Used to Know. So, David, what was your least favorite song?
Probably I'm Still Standing.
Yeah. I liked the harmonies, but I didn't love the context. The irony was just...
They
and
also,
you know what?
I feel like they didn't do a very good job singing it overall,
yeah, it was
compared to the other ones that were sung in the episode.
Yeah, it was okay. It was an okay cover. I thought the harmonies were interesting, but yeah, it wasn't that great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, it was between I'm Still Standing and Up, Up, Up. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm going to go with I'm Still Standing. Do you think they did that on purpose? Like the irony
yes.
of...
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
They did it on purpose.
It's just kind of in bad taste. Like so much
That's what I felt too.
That I was like, okay.
She apologizes for the song.
Right?
Doesn't she say like, I'm sorry about the song choice, but I'm pretty sure, right, Cullen?
Yeah, I think she said something like that.
Yeah.
I missed it.
So even she knows it's in bad taste.
Yeah, my least favorite, I'm going with the Duran Duran mashup. I thought the voice changing and everything was weird, and it threw me out of it. And like Santana, I was Santana. I was the face of just like, what is happening?
Wow. Okay. Well, it's been nice knowing you guys. This is my last episode.
David, what was your favorite song?
It would have been Fighter if his tag wasn't out the whole time. But since his tag was out the whole time and it was distracting me, I am going with Hungry Like a Wolf in Rio.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I like that one.
It's on my Glee songs I actually like playlist. And I remember this sequence. Like, I remember watching this, and because I was a big Duran Duran fan, and I loved the cover. And since watching this, like the very first time, and hearing that song, I have sung the harmonies that way ever since. Whenever it comes on the radio,
I do that with some songs too, where I sing the cover harmonies instead of the real ones.
Exactly. Yeah.
I do. I really like that song, and it's probably a close second or maybe third, because I also like Fighter and Somebody You Used to Know. But I'm going to go with Somebody I Used to Know, because I liked the context of how they were singing it. Even though it's a breakup song, the tension between them while they were singing it was really good. It was like palpable. Like you could tell that they just were having a conversation. So the way that the actors played it out was really well done.
Yeah.
So as usual, I have a hot take.
Up, up, up.
No, I'm Still Standing.
Oh my gosh, Cullen! No!
Wow, these are fiery hot takes. Scalding hot. I am on fire. I'm burning.
I do hate the context, but like I like the cover. It's on my Glee playlist. Yeah, I like that song a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like the Glee version too. Yeah, but I will agree it was in bad taste.
You know, something I figured out, I think, from that song is that I don't really like Quinn's voice.
I did not like Quinn's voice in the song either. Yeah. I do
don't
like
know.
her voice in some songs, but that one I didn't care for.
What Sue called it, a forgettable thin alto.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. So that was the music. So David, do you have any social medias you'd like to plug?
No, not at this time. Thank you for asking, though.
Man, if you were still streaming, we could plug the streaming.
Oh, you don't stream
but I'm
anymore?
No,
not. No,
we still play together.
Yeah, but I don't
We
stream.
try every week, but we don't stream anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still want to possibly talk about the Allyssa Tries Not to Die Twitch channel. I think it could be good. We should talk about it.
Do we just stream our whole life?
Well, no. Yes, but no. I like if she'll play like a new game every time, and she just tries not to die.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because Allyssa playing video games sometimes is very funny. And
You should just watch us play League, and it's the same thing. Like,
I think it could be a thing, Allyssa.
I'm getting better at League.
that is true.
I think it could be a thing, so we should talk about it.
Okay.
Anyway, Gleeboot is on Twitter and Instagram and the TikTok. We are at Gleeboot Pod. And then we're also on Tumblr, gleebootpod.tumblr.com.
You can follow me on YouTube at your boy Ryan, YABOI Ryan, and on Instagram and TikTok at your boy Ryan99.
And I know all of you listeners have been waiting in suspense since last week to hear what my social medias are. So I will tell you. It's a.m.swearingen. That's SWEARINGEN. That is my Instagram. So at a.m.swearingen.
That was a big sigh of relief from our listeners.
Yes.
They're like,
yes.
finally.
Broke the tension there.
I mean, if
It was
y'all want to follow me on Instagram, it's dswear96, but I don't really care if you do or not. So have fun.
Perfect.
Nice.
All right. So that's the end of the episode. David, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
You're welcome. I started off your day with the high note.
Yeah.
Only downhill
Of
from
course.
here.
Oh. Wow. Okay. It's going to be like a really low hill. We're going subterranean.
Whoa.
Hey, I never said I was above sea level. It's just above what the rest of your day will be.
Oh my gosh. Sibling love.
Well, see you next week, guys.
Bye.
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 Bye.